Welcome everyone to our 61st live stream of the Space Shooter DevVenture. Right now, at the end of our last session, episode 60, we had come up with our step-by-step process on phase 3 for the interruption behaviors, right? So intermittent and emergency behavior. Now, this obviously affects the does it affect the video? Yes, I suppose it does, right? The point is, it shouldn't affect one behavior like flee on its own. It should affect all behaviors in roughly the same way, and then each behavior needs to then have a way to deal with that, right? So there's some parameter that it passes through, and it's not always going to be a flee behavior, right? It's not always going to be, I need to dodge this obstacle. Maybe an emergency happens and it's like doing some kind of patrol, right? And an emergency happens, like the player comes into view, and now it's like, oh, I need to attack the player. And so it interrupts that patrol pattern and starts attacking the player. And then once the player is dealt with, or the player has escaped, then it resumes that patrol until the player comes back and causes it to attack again. You get what I'm saying, right? It's not just flee. It is potentially any behavior can interrupt another or interrupt an entire pattern until that behavior is done, and then the pattern resumes. So we need to make sure that our architecture can support any behavior in a general sense, and then have specific alterations to the behavior for that circumstance. Now, again, that can happen at a later stage because, like I told you before a few times, we only need to worry about the fundamentals until the fundamentals are done. Then we can worry about more advanced structures, right? So a skyscraper is only as tall as the current level you're building, right? Now, you can't build a skyscraper from the top down, right? You have to build it from the foundations up. That's just the way it works. You can't defy gravity. Well, I mean, you can, but it's going to be almost impossibly more difficult. I suppose you could suspend the entire building on cranes or whatever, and then build it in the sky and work your way down and meet it on the floor. The problem, of course, with doing that is you're going to need to add more and more and more and more cranes as you do, because the building, as it's hanging, is going to become heavier. It's just a little thought experiment / digression. Let's get to this, okay? I think that's enough of a preamble. Let's go through these because I didn't do that by the end of our last live stream. I'll go through it and we can then start implementing it, right? Now, step 1 is to do the dual distance tracking in NPC Behavior Manager. So we need to add in these fields: an override start position, override start time, max override duration, a max override distance, an override triage level. Remember, we're doing triage in the sense that it's gonna become more and more risky in its attempt to evade the danger objects, right? So the danger zone is going to shrink, and the AI actor is going to start taking more risks to escape it, because again, it's trapped in an environment where escape is currently impossible with a current safety margin. And so it's like, okay, well, if I can't escape with the current safety margin, is there another safety margin which is smaller than this that will allow me to escape? And the answer would probably be no. Then it tries again and again and again and again and again and again and again until the safety margin is literally touching the collision shape of the biggest avoidance object in the cluster, such that making it smaller would result in a collision with that avoidance object. And then there's no point making it smaller than this, right? And now it asks, can I escape? And if the answer is still no, then it's like, okay, well, then I give up. And it goes to the middle and sits still. And so that's what triage level means. And then you've got the original safety radius. I suppose that's for reference. And it'll probably become a percentage of that. So it's like original safety radius times 0 point something, right? 0 point and then your percentage. So if it was 85%, it would be 0.85%, right? Now, that's step one. We add these variables in. Then step two is to update the start override behavior. Replace the override start block after the already in override update logic and add this part in. So let's do this step by step, okay? I've already explained what these things are, so let's just add them. Okay, so I'll move this over to the side, go to NPC Behavior Manager over here. So I'm going to make this shorter so I don't have to keep scrolling through my scripts. And I'm also going to start closing things that I don't need, right? So I don't need target config right now, so I'll close that. I don't need level config right now, so I'll close that. I don't need health or health display, or do I need danger sensor? Yes. Behavior arrival, the battle for the player. I'll close this one. Bolt behavior, gun behaviors, health display. Okay, now we can manage this a little easier. And that means I can have more real estate down here to see all the available functions. So if I go here, you can see that's not too many. But if I go into the enemy ship controller, now you can currently see, oh, okay, there's a lot of functions going on. And if I close maybe one more, like behavior bolt, now you can see that there is space below there. So there's no need to scroll. Anyway, at the top of this function, where all the variables are, I can add it probably over here. Overrides, temporary behavior lane. Near the other override variables. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's exactly what it said. Perfect. So now I can take this and add this like that. There we go. You can save that. And now we go to step 2, which is to go to this start override behavior function all the way down here. And then check the already in override. If in override, so down here, in override is true, override start time just before saved pattern. We need to make a line here and then add these in like this. Okay, and then just tab those in. like that. All right. Then under current behavior is available behaviors of key. We need to add in nothing. That's right. Everything's done. Step 2 is complete. Now step 3. For those of you who want to see what step 2 was, we needed to add in some code, right? So that's this code here. We needed to add this in to the function. So we added that in here. That's all I did, right? And now for step 3, we've got this update on behavior completed triage logic, right? So replace the override flee completion block. Override flee in PC Behavior Manager. Okay, I'm gonna move this over to the side once I've found out exactly where to put this. Once I figured out where to put this, then I'll start adding it in. But for now, I need to here we go. I need to get to on override. Start override. If in override. Okay, so I need to add another sentinel case. If in override and behavior type is flee, behavior type. Why is behavior type not declared? Surely it's here. For step 3, it says behavior type is not declared. It's behavior name, not behavior type. Yes, the variable name comes from the onBehavior completed signature in your script. The parameter is already named behavior type. OnBehavior completed. Oh, I see. So this was my mistake. OnBehavior completed. That's over here. Okay, so let's get back to step 3. That was my mistake. I apologize. I wasn't paying full attention. So it's on behavior completed. It says that specifically here. I wasn't paying attention. I'm going to move this over to one side, and I'm just going to add the changes as I see they are necessary, right? So if it's in override and the behavior type is flee, print npc behavior manager override behavior flee completed with status, and then status. All right, now we need to add in some variables. Over here, say a new variable. First we'll global timeout. Excuse me, global timeout checks. Okay, and now we have to have a variable called current time. Set that to time.get Unix time from date time from system. Variable override time is current time minus override start time, and then variable override distance is enemy ship dot global transform dot distance to override start position. Can't find a member. Distance to, oh, transform dot origin dot distance to. Okay, so there's no need for the assignment operator to be this far to the right in this function. So what I'll do is I'll bring it in from column 60 to column 40. Much better. Okay. Now the next step is to change, not change, but add in an if statement over here. So if this or backslash this. Okay, so if the maximum override distance duration is greater than 0.0 and the override time is also greater than or equal to max override duration, or backslash max. Oh, I see. So this is supposed to go to the next line. So that's what backslash is for. I didn't know that. That's so cool. Backslash just means take the expression down to the next line, continue it on the next line. That's really cool. Okay. Max override distance. You know what? Let's line this up. Here you go. Is also greater than 0.0 and override distance is greater than or equal to the maximum override distance just line that up as well. There you go. Expected indented block after the if block. Oh, you know what? Let's do this. And if I put a bracket around this whole thing, still not happy. Fine. Oh, it wants an indented block after the if statement. Okay, now it's happy. Print npc behavior manager global override limit reached triage level and then override triage level. Okay, and then after that we have another if statement. So if override triage level is 0, then we make a comment here saying triage 1 is to reduce safety radius. Okay, so we say override triage level is now set to 1. Create a new variable. We'll call it flee node. We'll set that to be available behaviors dot get flee as type behavior flee. Then if flee node is not null, right, then original safety radius is flee node safety radius. Then flee node safety radius is times equal times assignment 0.8 and print triage 1 reduced safety radius to flea node safety radius. Okay. So it seems that our assignment column has to go back to column 50 because of this here. So let's just go ahead and do that. So from here all the way down. Yeah. Amazing. And then we need to restart flea. And call underscore restart. What happened? Restart current flea function and call return. Now, of course, restart current flea is not defined yet. That's okay. We can ignore this. We still have to define it, and we know we still have to define it. That's okay. But for now, we need to make an else if, right? So elif override triage level is 1, and we'll make a comment over here. And this would be triage 2 emergency radius. So now we create a variable and say flea node available behaviors get flea as type behavior type flea type behavior flea. So that's this line here, and then the rest of it. And then finally, there's an else statement as well. Else, this is triage 3. Surrender to cluster, or rather surrender to safe centroid. And then just call or apply this following code. And then we have a normal cleanup. So here, let's say right, so this is of course where the old code comes in. So if an override in override is false, current behavior is null, save position, that's the same. Restoring pattern, current pattern, add sequence index, restart the state. Okay, so this step needs to come in here. So we say reset state, override triage level can be set to 0. If original safety radius is greater than 0.0, then create a variable free node. And then we have these over here. Okay, so I'll comment this out for now. Oh, I see. So this was right. It's just that this needs to go after it. So here. Yeah. Okay, so that's the end of stage 3. And now stage 4 is to add that helper method. The restart current flee. See, we've got this error message. We need to add that in. So here at the very bottom, make sure that there's three lines of separation between functions as always. So 1, 2, and 3. And then we create a function here at the bottom. So there's restart current flee and compute obstacle centroid. Both helper functions like so. Why is this a problem? Oh yeah, because of the spacing. Right. Now we just have to format this to fit to be in accordance with collimation. So 1, 2, and 3. Then that seems okay. And this needs 3 lines of separation. Okay. Now, where is this being called, by the way? Nowhere. Oh, there it is. Yeah, okay. So that's the end of stage 4. And then stage 5 is to test the progression. Now, we've got normal, then we've got boxed in, and we've got tune. So for those of you who need a little bit of reminder, yeah, so there's the normal case, which is to flee, reach safety, and resume current pattern. All right. And then there's boxed in, which is flee, timeout, switch to triage level 1, timeout, switch to triage level 2, timeout, perform an arrival to centroid, and then resume pattern. Right? And this shouldn't actually happen. It shouldn't resume the pattern. It should just stop and wait. Because if it tries to resume the old pattern, it's just going to hit that same boxed in logic and repeat it again and again and again. And there's no point doing that, right? So it needs to go and wait. Just sit there and be patient until either an escape opportunity arises where a mining vessel comes along and breaks up one of the asteroids and then punctures a hole in the barricade and allows the AI actor to escape, or the game round is over. The level is complete, the player has won, or whatever, and that's it. Otherwise, what you can do is to, in quotes, respawn the AI actor at the capital ship once that's a thing, right? So the pirate just dies and then gets respawned at the ship, the main ship, and off it goes on its merry way. And then there's tune, right? So adjust max flee duration, max override duration, tune them in the inspector for faster testing. So those are the steps we need to take now in order to test things. And I don't really feel like doing that now. As you can hear, I'm yawning. It is extremely hot today and I'm quite tired. We have about 20 minutes left of our live stream. And we really do have to test this. But what I'm going to do instead, before that, I'm going to pass all of the code that I just changed and modified and worked on. I'm going to pass it into Perplexity now and ask it to do an audit of all the code and make sure everything is as expected according to Perplexity, right? So when Perplexity said, write this line of code here, did I do that? Right? And that would make the testing and debugging session a little bit easier, because then there's not as much back and forth and iteration and checking the code and asking Perplexity to help me make make corrections and find errors to save time. So let's do that. I'm going to tell Perplexity now, I've done steps 1 to 4 and I want to move on to step 5. But I think it would help us to do a quick audit of the code to ensure we are on the same page. Please give me a list of the script files you need in order to do the audit of all the changes we've made recently. To audit the recent changes end to end, these scripts are the ones to review together. npc manager.gd, behavior flee, danger sensor GD, behavior shoot, and enemy ship controller. Okay, so that's 5 scripts. That's easy. If you share those 5 scripts, the audit can cover the full override flee pipeline, including the new robustness and triage logic. And that would also make me feel better, and it will also take up some of the time that's left with useful work, right? Because again, this is useful. It's helpful to know that the code is as expected, so that when we do get to the testing phase, we know, okay, well, it's not because the code was incomplete or because I left something out or because I made a typo. It's because something was fundamentally wrong in the code we wrote, and now we can fix it, right? So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, here is the code. We'll say 1. Here's the code for behavior. npc behavior. Manager.gd. Okay, so npc behavior manager.gd, control save, control all, control C, and control V. And here is the code to behavior flee.gd code. Behavior flee. Three danger sensor.gd. That's this one. For behavior shoot. .gd code. That's this one. And finally, step 5, enemy ship controller.gd code. That's this one over here. Please analyze, or rather audit, these script files and make sure everything is as expected, so that the testing phase in step 5 goes as smoothly as possible. I see. The query is too many characters long. Okay, here's what I'll do. I'll break it up into phases. I can't pass all the script files at once, as they are too big for the prompt box. Please accept the files in batches and only process only process the audit once I give the go-ahead, i.e. once you have all 5 script files. Understood. For the audit, send the scripts in batches and only say run the audit now when the last one is sent. Okay, so 1 npc behavior manager .gd. My apologies that I have to repeat this whole process. I was hoping that this wasn't going to be needed, but unfortunately it is. So step 1 and step 2, behavior flee. We'll try and do step 3 as well. Danger sensor.gd. My apologies, I just need to answer this quickly. Sorry about that. Please stand by for files 4 and 5. Got it. Those 3 scripts are clear and consistent with the design so far. Whenever you're ready, send 4 and 5. Okay, so 4 is behavior shoot. So that's the behavior shoot code, and then 5 is enemy ship controller.gd. It's taking a bit long because it says the chat is getting really long. So what I'm going to do next after this is to do up a so-called part 2 of this thread and continue in that new thread. Okay, Yes, the question makes sense, and the current code across the 5 scripts is coherent and mostly aligned with what was discussed. Below is a focused audit of the current state and concrete, minimal adjustments before you move to step 5 for testing. NPC behavior manager.gd looks correct, or rather what looks correct is that the override state and globals are declared and used consistently. Start override behavior only starts when... Okay, so here gaps or tweaks to make. Global distance is declared but not used in triage logic. You have max override distance and override start position, and you calculated override distance, but in the posted code, max override distance is only checked inside the if condition. That is correct logically. Just ensure the condition is exactly this. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Back in Godot engine, in the NPC behavior manager, as a part of the on behavior completed override time. Variable override time and override distance. If max override duration is greater than 0 and override time greater than or equal to max override duration, or max override distance greater than or equal to 0 and override distance greater than or equal to max override distance, then the triage logic. This matches the plan. Either global time or global distance can trigger triage. Then 2, triage level 1 block does not set override triage level back from 1. In your code, add the level bump. So in the else if over here, so what it's telling me, by the way, is in the code where it says this, I need to change or add this part in here. So just here, before I do this side, I need to add this line of code. So we'll just copy that and paste it in like that. And then the surrender triage should explicitly mark override failure reason. Okay. So when you go to triage 3, you have this else statement. You calculate the centroid, you start the override behavior and return. This is fine as behavioral choice. There is no need to change it right now unless you want a distinct override timeout reason at the pattern level. For now, the behavior is correct. And then for reset, number 4, reset of override triage level, and safety radius happens only when the saved pattern is not empty. Okay, so in the cleanup code, you have this, which is okay, but it means if there was no saved pattern, then override triage level and safety radius don't get reset until the next override. To make it more robust, we need to move the reset outside the if saved pattern is not empty block. So I see. So that current save pattern needs to go outside here. Oh, I see. So this needs to be unindented by 1 level. So this needs to come out 1. Override triage level is 0. Reset triage regardless. Everything else in this script is consistent. Okay, then behavior flee, what looks correct, exports for local robustness, the state, and process. This matches exactly the desired local robustness behavior. What are tweaks? What we can tweak: if you want fleet to recompute the fleet direction when updated, if you later add in place activate calls for updates, activate already recomputes fleet direction cached, so no further changes are needed. No corrections required here. Logic is sound. Okay, happy. Danger sensor, no changes needed. This is exactly what the override lane expects. Behavior shoot. This matches the intent. No firing until there is both line of sight and a good alignment, which should fix the premature firing after flee interruptions for stationary targets. No corrections required here either. Then the enemy ship controller.gd. Everything here is mostly orchestration and it looks fine. Only note that once the triage system is in play, this manual interrupt will also be subject to the global time or distance and triage escalation, which is what you want for testing. So, summary of concrete edits before testing. You only need to make 3 small adjustments. Ensure the combined global time or distance condition in on behavior complete is exactly this. So let's do this. I'm just going to copy and paste. So there's apparently an error for my YouTube studio saying latency issues or something. That's why I was so distracted for a second. My apologies. Opening back over here, and then in the triage level 1 block, we need to set the level to 2, which we did. Then we need to move the reset override triage level and safety radius outside of the if statement, which we've done. And then once those are in, you are ready for step 5, which is to design and run the boxed in / failure tests to exercise local flee, global override, and triage levels 1 through 3, and make sure they transition and then surrender and arrival. So that's good. I'm happy with the way things have come through at the end of our live stream now. I'm happy that the code is intact and the audit came back and we've done everything we needed to do. And yeah, so I think that's it. We can call the live stream here. So I'm going to make a shout out to Cubes. Thank you so much for your support. Cubes is our junior DevVenturer. That's the middle tier of the coffee memberships. And if you want more information about that, you can head over to coffee.com/mtkdev. Not sure why that happened. Anyway, so you can head over to coffee.com/mtkdev and check out the membership tiers there. The perks are listed. Among those perks, you get access to role-restricted channels on the Discord server. And mentioning the Discord server, I have a community dedicated to DevVenture with MTK and all the things I do on my channel/brand. For those of you who don't know, I'm a game developer, content creator, and computer scientist with and and I do content on game development specifically, and I will, or at least I plan to, expand into 3D printing and DIY electronics projects as well. That's in the pipeline. It's not ready yet, but by by all means, go ahead and join the community. I hope to see you there. The link is in the description of this video for Discord and for Coffee. And if memberships are not your thing, you can still make a one-time donation, and I'll appreciate that very much as well. Also, you can support the channel in non-financial ways by subscribing, liking this video, and sharing it with others. And then also just comment, engage with the video, right? Comment, ask questions, give me feedback. All of your support in all its forms is highly appreciated. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time and attention.